right? Is that pounds? Well, Lisa, you want to know what I think about that? Super exponential 1,000,000%, you're the a-hole. You know how I feel about pranks. So hello everyone, and welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel. I'm Jessica Layla, and today we're gonna be doing our favorite thing of the month, reading Am I the A-Hole? Stories. Now, in case you're new here, this is something we do every last Friday of the month. And all the posts today came from these two accounts. That is where we got all our stories, because I have a very hard time finding good stories. If you ever want to send me some, feel free to. But yeah, that is what we're gonna be doing today. So everyone, what I want you to do is to grab your snacks, grab your drinks, get all comfy cozy, and let's just dive right in with our first post. Am I the a-hole for grounding my daughter? A couple days ago, we started getting rats in the walls / ceiling. Rats. They're very active in the middle of the night, and they've woken all of us up. My husband is working on getting them out and said it should take a week for them to start to leave. Last night, they were especially bad around my daughter's 15 female room, and she took some Advil PM to help her sleep at around 10:30. They woke her up at around 3 or 4, and she says she doesn't know if she took them again, but she slept until 10 minutes before she was supposed to leave. She was extremely groggy when she woke up, and I thought she was just tired from the rats. Then I got a call from her first period, second period, third period, and fourth period teachers telling me that she fell asleep in class and asking if she was okay because this is very unusual for her. Then during her lunch period, I got a call from the nurse who said she wasn't feeling well and I need to pick her up. I checked the Advil and it looks like 2 doses were taken, so I grounded my daughter for 2 weeks because she was careless enough to take 2 doses and because she had fallen asleep in every class before I picked her up. She is furious and says that she wouldn't have taken them twice if we would have hired someone to take care of the rats. She told her dad, and he is furious that we haven't hired anyone to take care of the rats, and that I grounded my daughter for her mistake. He picked her up a couple hours ago, and my daughter said she doesn't want to talk to me, so I wanted to know if I was the a-hole. Mom doesn't take care of the pest problem, you're the a-hole. Mom knows they are the worst around daughter's room and still doesn't hire a professional. You're the a-hole. Daughter takes over-the-counter sleep aid to try to get some sleep. Daughter, not the a-hole. Daughter still gets woken up. Geez, the rat problem must be bad. And takes another dose, too groggy already to remember if she had. Daughter, still not the a-hole. Mom still doesn't take care of rats. Even bigger, you're the a-hole now. Daughter falls asleep in school. Duh, not the a-hole. Mom punishes daughter super exponential 1,000,000%, you're the a-hole. Get rid of the rats. You are literally treating them better and tolerating them more than your daughter, OP. OMG! OMG, I feel for her. Because for years I said there was scratching in my walls and something biting stuff in my room. Ate my bag and books, and no one believed me till the mice went to their room. They keep you up at night, especially when they scream and scratch all the time. Like, no crap, she can't sleep. OMG. This woman will definitely be on Reddit in 10 years crying that her daughter has gone no contact, and she doesn't know why. Ha! The creepiest sound you can hear is a rodent scratching around in the walls. Last summer, I heard that, and it was creepy, and it was freaky, and that's the type of thing that keeps you up at night. It's a very specific sound, a little bit of, you know, that little... To punish your daughter for there being rats in your house, and she couldn't sleep because of that? I don't understand how we got here. So it says that the husband is working on getting them out and it should take a week for them to start to leave. So why haven't you hired a professional? Like, I know that's a little bit pricey, but if there's rats in your walls to the degree of keeping your child up at night and making them have to double dose sleep medicine, and your response to your child having a hard time sleeping because there's rats in their walls is to punish them because they fell asleep during class. 1000% I believe this parent is the a-hole because that's not a good response, you know? This is a time for empathy, for understanding, for compassion, because there's rats in your walls. And so of course, if someone is being kept up by something and they just want to try to get to sleep so that they can get on with their day, but then they, you know, they take too much. It happens even to adults. I don't think there's any reason to punish your kid for how this played out. Like, is it possible the teenager knew that they took 2 doses? Maybe. But if they are so miserable that they can't sleep from all the sounds in their walls, then that's on you to get the rats out and find a solution. The onus is on the parents to find a solution to make the rats not keep their kid up, right? Honestly, this post sounds like rage bait. Sue me. So I think it's really weird to punish your kid for this. This could have been a lesson. So in my opinion, the original poster is the a-hole. What you can do is subscribe and let me know what you think. On to the next one. Would I be the a-hole if I replaced my food with something my roommate is allergic to? I, 23 female, live with a roommate, 25 female, in Vancouver, and we split rent 50-50. She's honestly fine most of the time, but she has this habit of eating my food and then replacing it later. Which sounds okay, except she never replaces it with the same thing. Like, I'll buy these specific gluten-free crackers because I have celiac, and they're expensive as hell, and she'll eat them and then buy regular crackers and act like that's the same thing. I've explained multiple times I can't eat regular crackers, but she keeps doing it. 2 weeks ago, I bought this dairy-free cheese that cost me $11 for a tiny block. Woof. I was saving it for this recipe I wanted to try. She ate the entire thing and replaced it with regular cheddar. When I confronted her, she said, "It's cheese. What's the difference?" And I had to explain again that I can't have dairy. She always says sorry and promises to stop, but then does it again like 3 days later. So here's my plan. She's allergic to almonds. Not like deathly allergic, but enough that she avoids them. I'm thinking of buying these crackers that look exactly like my gluten-free ones, but they have almond flour in them. And this vegan cheese that's made with cashews and almonds. I wouldn't hide that it has almonds in it. The ingredients are on the package, but they look identical to what I normally buy, so if she eats my stuff without checking, she's gonna have a reaction. My boyfriend thinks this is insane, and I should just label my food or get a mini fridge for my room. My friend thinks it's hilarious, and she deserves it. I wouldn't do this if her allergy was serious. Like, she gets hives and her throat gets itchy, but it's not anaphylaxis or anything. She just has to take Benadryl and she's fine after a few hours. Part of me knows this is petty and potentially dangerous, but part of me is just so tired of spending extra money on specialty food only for her to eat it and replace it with stuff I can't have. Would I be the a-hole if I did this? I say this in jest only. They make dairy-free cheese out of almonds. There are a lot of recipes out there made from them too, like almond cream cheese. If you choose to buy the almond food, make sure it's clearly marked. You don't want to be legally responsible for their hospital bills for something clearly marked. I would start keeping my receipts and make her either purchase exactly what they ate or pay you the amount you paid for. The problem with allergies is they can get worse and you don't even know it. You might never know the next time you do get anaphylaxis. So I wouldn't chance it. So the lockbox or a mini fridge sounds like the more safe route. Everyone's saying it's assault if she buys food she's allergic to, yet the roommate is already replacing her food with things she can't eat? Or eat the food she's bought as a replacement and then stick her with the medical bills, because then it's her that's committed the crime and not you. I don't know about that one, Chief. That's... You know, I think we read a story about, was it lactose intolerance or something? That sounds familiar to me, I just don't remember when. If you have foods that are friendly for your body, and they're very specific foods, they're not easily replaced unless you get the identical item, and someone keeps taking this expensive food and eating it and then replacing it with something that is not actually a replacement, that would be really annoying. I would never encourage someone to do something dangerous when it comes to food allergies, just because, you know, as it was pointed out, you never know when you're gonna have a reaction that's way over the top. I would, however, get food that is clearly labeled with these food allergies that your roommate has. Let her know, hey, this has almonds in it, so if you eat it, it's lights out, nights out for you potentially. And then if she decides to eat it anyway, the onus is on her. I would never encourage you to subtly try to poison your roommate or make them ill. I think you kind of take the onus off you if you're like, hey, this has almonds in it, so don't eat it. You just never know with food allergies when they're gonna up in intensity, and so I don't think it's advisable to not disclose that at the very least. But absolutely, your roommate sounds so obnoxious. So I think, here's my opinion, this is a little bit of a hot take, but you would be the a-hole if you did that without disclosing, hey, this food has almonds in it. But if you disclose it and then she eats it anyway and then she gets a reaction, that's on her because she went in knowing that. And the roommate is also the a-hole. The roommate is 100% the a-hole because you're taking food that doesn't belong to you, expensive food, food that is diet specific, and you're eating it and then replacing it with stuff that's not actually replacing it. If you have celiac disease, you can't eat gluten. Getting gluten is a big thing. It's a big concern for a lot of people with celiac disease. And as someone who ate gluten-free for like nearly a full year, it is expensive. It's very expensive, you know? And even just like lactose-free products can get a little bit pricey, which really sucks because I'm sorry about my inability to eat and digest certain foods. Sue me! But what do we always say?
That's just my take, though.
That's right. Good job.
Yeah.
So anyways, on to the next one. So this comes from a different subreddit called Am I the Buttface, but same principle. Am I the Buttface? I can't say that seriously. Am I the Buttface for reporting my female 50 coworker, female 22, for unfair treatment after an argument we had outside of working hours? Last week, my coworker and I had an argument in her car. She got mad at me and basically told me we are not friends anymore. She hasn't been talking to me, smiling, or telling me I've been doing a good job. But she's doing it to everybody else, even the rest of my family that works there. She is a team lead and makes the schedule. She messed up my schedule and took me off all the days she worked. And now I'm only working Monday, Tuesday, and Saturday doubles. I didn't lose any hours, but still, it isn't fair. Yesterday, I went up to her and complained about my schedule, and she said, "Sorry, can't do anything. That's the only way I can do it." So I reported her to HR. I complained and told them what happened. They're looking into it now. I talked to the general manager too about it. She told me she's having a meeting on Monday about it. My coworker came up to me and told me, "I am not treating you any different than anybody." And I told her, "Yeah, you are." Now everybody in the restaurant is pissed at me. She is the favorite. Everybody loves her. Even my own family is pissed. Too long, didn't read. My coworker is treating me unfairly because of a petty argument we had. Now everybody hates me for reporting her. Wait, is this the same coworker as your other post in which you essentially bullied her into driving you home, making her late for an event, and then got pissed when she said she wouldn't drive you anymore? Is that the argument you're referring to? If so, 1000% you're the buttface. Talk about entitled. Little wonder she doesn't want to be on shift with you, considering you admitted continuing to bug her and being pissy about her not driving you around. She kept your hours the same and is limiting contact because you are an entitled bully. HR will not be on your side. Get your attitude in order, or it's only going to get worse for you. Yes, this is the same person. I did not bully her, though. She hasn't been telling me I've been doing a good job. I died from secondhand cringe. Even my own family is pissed at me. For this specifically, or just your personality in general? Being 50 and beefing with a 22-year-old. Yeah, so in case you didn't realize, when I first read this, I thought it was the 22-year-old posting about the 50-year-old. Which, not that that would be any better, but it makes a little more sense. But for someone this old, I'm not calling her old, I'm just saying this old, to be acting like this and be like needing validation and not understanding, you know, the weight of her own actions and how she caused this rift between her and her coworker, and to have everybody involved be mad at you, kind of embarrassing, right? I mean, obviously this person is the a-hole. If they were making their coworker feel bad about not driving the original poster around. It's a crazy thing to get mad over. But the really weird part is she has been talking to me, smiling, or telling me I've been doing a good job, but she's doing it to everybody else. That's a weird thing to get hung up over, just in my opinion. Maybe some people need validation from their coworkers. And then, you didn't lose any hours, you just had to change days from when she was working. So you're kind of making a mountain out of a molehill, you know? You're kind of making the situation bigger than it needs to be, especially if it is true that you were bullying this coworker, you know? It just sounds like you were being nasty and disrespectful towards your fellow employee, and if that's the case, I understand why they don't want to work with you, you know? Like, they don't have to smile, they don't have to be friendly, they don't have to work alongside you if they don't want their schedule to line up with yours. Like, this should not be a big enough deal to go to Reddit about it. I don't understand people who, despite the situation clearly pointing to them being the problem, will end up going to the internet for advice or for people to confirm you're not the a-hole. Very rarely does that work out in your favor. In my opinion, this person is the a-hole just because you're bullying someone in their 20s, someone you work with, they're trying to be respectful, they're trying to avoid you, you still have the same amount of hours, and because she's not willing to drive the original poster around, and because she's not saying that the original poster is doing a good job, you have to go to Reddit and ask about this unfair treatment that's been going on, and I just think it's so silly, you know? It's really kind of cringe. That's just my take on it, you know? I think that if you're mean to a coworker, and it's a coworker that you had been relying on to help you get around, shouldn't have been mean to them, shouldn't have bullied them. But that's just my take on it. On to the next one. Am I the a-hole for getting a disabled lady charged? I don't believe I am the a-hole, but a friend disagrees. Not in the USA. Throwaway also. I had surgery on both my legs after an accident. It was for both ankles and my left knee, with the left leg being substantially more serious. The recovery meant that I was wheelchair bound for 5 months. My right ankle recovered enough to be able to drive myself around after a month, so I ended up being given a temporary disability card to help with the wheelchair. Problem comes when my daily driver is manual, so I can't shift the gears. However, I had a second car, a Toyota Supra, I have had for donkey's years. It's automatic, so I could drive it at that point. It's not comfortable or easy, but I can get around in a pinch. Trouble comes when I go to meet with friends for food. I park in a disabled parking bay, placard displayed, and begin to haul the chair out and set it up. Credit to anyone who does this daily. A lady approaches me from an adjacent disabled park and says I shouldn't park here. So I explain that I have a temp permit due to my legs and I am well within my rights. I was being as reasonable as I could. She does not like this and starts screaming that I probably stole the placard and that if I can drive my racer car, then I can park elsewhere and leave the disabled parks to people truly disabled like her. From then on, I just ignore her. I'm not going to change her mind anyhow, and jump into my chair to go grab some food. About an hour later, from the window of the restaurant we were at, I see this lady walking away. On the way past my car, she empties onto my car what looks to be one of those glass soy sauce bottles that Japanese restaurants have, and once empty, throws the bottle onto my hood, and continues onto another store. Yikes. My friends and I see this and fly back to the car. Sure as hell there's soy sauce everywhere, and a new fist-sized dent in the hood. I take her license plate down and call the police non-emergency line. They have someone close who arrived in about 10 minutes. The police take my statement about the whole situation, including her going off at me to begin with, and the new dent in my otherwise straight car. It's not a gay car. I explained where she had gone, and one of the officers retrieves her from the store to tell her side. She admitted to taking and throwing the bottle to damage my car, and I have about 5 witnesses. So the cops ask me if I want to press criminal charges. I know it will make it easier for me to get my vehicle repaired via insurances, so I say yes. That and that she was a jerk. The lady is ticketed, pending a court date. She ended up getting charged, has to do anger management course, and pay the repair costs. I feel as though I was in the right in getting her charged. I did nothing wrong. I acted within the law and was respectful. However, a friend was angry after I told him, saying that I was making a disabled person's life harder than it already is. She was probably sick of people parking in parks reserved for people with the need and was lashing out. Plus, I hardly explained myself to her. He said it's just a dent in my car and nothing to ruin someone's life over. I do see his side, but I didn't force her to do any of this. Am I the a-hole? I'm disabled. I have multiple sclerosis and walk with a cane. I'm only 44. People can be nasty to me because I don't look old enough to be disabled. I've been accused of using someone else's tags before, by a cop no less. You have every right to park where you did. Yes, people illegally park in our spots all the time, but that's not your fault. I always look to see if there are tags on a car before I make assumptions. I never approached anyone that didn't have tags, let alone those who do. I can't imagine the type of person that would actually vandalize a car like this. Disabled people can be a-holes too. She deserves all the repercussions coming her way. Tell your friend to kick rocks. They should be sticking up for you if they are so concerned about defending people with disabilities because you are disabled too. Not the a-hole. You aren't ruining her life. You are stopping inappropriate behavior before her unjustified anger issues result in her actually ruining her life and someone else's. A car dent can be repaired. Not all impulse responses can be fixed that easily. Dude, she was also making a disabled person's life harder. Yours, even if your disability is only temporary. You did the right thing. Not the a-hole. Being disabled isn't a I'm immune to any consequences for anything I do card. If you do a crime, you face the punishment. She's way overreacting. And, you know, getting frustrated about parking, that is whatever, okay? To then come up to someone who is using a wheelchair and then to accuse them of faking having their placard, screaming in someone's face, and that this guy can park somewhere else and leave the disabled parks to people truly disabled like her. And this is kind of the issue because there are a lot of invisible disabilities. Obviously this guy is not. It's a temporary disability, but there are disabilities where you might not be able to physically see anything wrong with a person. That's kind of a source of discrimination a lot of people with invisible disabilities face. Can you stop unfocusing, please? And then for this guy's friend to be like, it's just a dent in the car and nothing to ruin her life over. Like, if your anger issues are so bad that you see someone park in a place you don't want them to park, that you then physically try to damage their property, you get bigger issues at play here, right? This becomes less about just being disabled and more about she has such an explosive reaction to this that it's abnormal, so she needs to be reprimanded for what she did. You need to be held accountable, disability or not. And yeah, disabled people's lives are hard, but you don't have to make it harder by physically destroying someone's property. So this guy's not the a-hole, and anyone who says he is, I'm sorry, I'm just never gonna see your perspective. Other chronically ill or disabled people might have a different perspective, and that's valid, and I'm not gonna be like, you're objectively wrong. The way she's acting to me just is way over the top, and as it was pointed out, might turn into something else one day, not just a dent in a car. But what do we say?
That's just my take, though.
That's right. Let me know what you think. Anyways, on to the next one. Am I the a-hole for eating breakfast without my vegan girlfriend? My 42 male girlfriend Lou turned 30 last month, and with everything going on at the moment, she couldn't have a party or anything. Her family live at the other end of the country, and she hasn't seen them since Christmas. She was starting to look mopey about it, so I said I would treat her to a mini break in the country for her birthday. Lou is a vegan, and I don't mind. But I'm not. We live in a big city with lots of vegan-friendly restaurants, and she does the cooking, so it hasn't been an issue before. I thought she understood that her eating options would be limited in the countryside. The breakfast part of the B&B was full English. Sausages, bacon, black pudding, eggs, big piles of buttered toast. All the delicious things Lou won't eat. It was 9 pounds, right? Is that pounds? It was 9 pounds a day extra. But it's been a tough year for me too, and I deserve a treat as well. Obviously, I wasn't going to pay another 9 pounds a day just for Lou to have a black coffee and give me the stink eye. When the owner asked me where she was, I told him she was a vegan, and he said he could feed her a grape and some lettuce, lol. So, he agrees with me. I don't think I'm the a-hole, but clearly, Blue does. She was quiet on the holiday, and when we got back, she said she hadn't expected me to bug her off for breakfast, and she doesn't feel like part of a couple. Now, she says she needs space to think about things. I don't know what she's talking about. I paid for her to go away. I did something nice for her. I don't think she should blame me for there being no vegan options, or expect me to be a vegan like her. Did she even say that? Where did that come from? You're the a-hole, such an egotistical a-hole. It was supposed to be a treat for her, so find some place that caters to her choices. I'm convinced that having a vegan breakfast for a few days would not have killed you. There isn't an abundance of vegan B&Bs in the world. I picked a very nice place that still had availability at short notice. It's not hard to find a place with vegan breakfast options. I mean, what more can you expect from someone dating a woman 12 years his junior? She's a 30-year-old solicitor. Huh? Solicitor? Not some teenager. She can do more than hold her own with me. He did something nice for him and invited her to watch, so he paid for everything. And it's still not enough for the Disney princess. I see many red flags on both sides. He's 42 and bought himself a 30-year-old girlfriend. But she's not 30. She's 12. I thought I read that wrong. I was like, wait, he's dating a 12-year-old? Okay. I'm kind of seeing, you know, perspectives. I'm seeing all the angles here. Here's the thing. I don't know anything about B&Bs, I'll be real, but I bet that on short notice, you probably could have found a place that would have worked for her. So let's let's examine this post a little further. Okay, so Lou turned 30. Kind of gross, that age gap, but everybody's a consenting adult in the situation, so I'm not gonna go off. So Lou turned 30, and she couldn't have a party or anything. Sucks. Didn't get to celebrate. She didn't get to see her family, and hasn't seen them since Christmas. I have no idea when this post is from. And you know, you see a little bit of resentment in the way he was saying she was starting to look mopey about it. I just find that kind of red flaggish, you know, kind of maybe yellow flaggish to describe someone like that. That's just my opinion, though. And then the part about it being a tough year for you too. I have no doubts everybody has tough times. But then saying I deserve a treat as well. Unfortunately, the only thing I'm picking up on here is that you're the only one being treated. So, you know, to stay at a bread and breakfast. To stay at a bread... Wait. No. To stay at a bed and breakfast, and then there's nothing she can eat, would kind of suck, you know? If you have, say, a food allergy, and then people pick a restaurant where there's no choices for you, you know how much that sucks. And then it sounds like he's just eating it alone, you know, drinking his tea or coffee or whatever. There's another little bit of resentment that comes through here in saying, I wasn't going to pay another £9 a day just for Lou to have a black coffee and give me the stink eye. And then maybe you should have picked a place that was a little more, you know, for everyone. And where I think it's kind of hinted at that he doesn't like her vegan lifestyle is when the owner comes up and asks, where's Lou? And then they make a joke about eating a grape and some lettuce. That's not very original. Nor is it funny. Paying for someone to go away, but then them having no options for food, and feeling like it's not, you know, you're not part of a couple, that's gotta suck. And I understand, you know, options are probably limited vegan-wise, but I bet there was a place you could find. Somewhere. So it just seems like he has resentment for Lou for her vegan lifestyle, and you know, you're celebrating her birthday and this is how it's turning out. Kind of sucks. But again, like I always say, that's just my take on it. So on to the next one. So we have now reached that time of the night where we read one last one and call it there. So everyone, settle in and let's just dive right in with our final story. Am I the a-hole for being furious with my pregnant wife over a prank? You know how I feel about pranks! 31 male. I've been with my wife Lisa since college, and she's currently 7 months pregnant with our first baby. My wife Lisa is witty and likes to play jokes on me. For example, she likes to pass of fake facts and stories as real and see if I'll believe them. Lisa was a theater kid, so she's great at acting and telling these stories. I used to fall for her pranks all the time, since I'm gullible, and she's so convincing. However, now that I've been with her for so many years, I can typically tell when she's messing with me. She's upped the antics over the years, and so she can occasionally get me to believe one of her jokes. Today when I got home from work, Lisa had tears in her eyes and told me she needed to talk to me about something. I was seriously worried and sat down with her immediately. I asked what was wrong several times, and she kept saying it was hard to talk about it and she was terrified I'd leave her. I kept pressing, and she told me she had an affair with her boss several months ago and wasn't sure if the baby was mine. I asked if she was serious, and she said she was 100% serious, and started crying even harder. I got up, started pacing, and tried to gather my thoughts. After a few minutes, Lisa bursted into laughter and said she was joking. Well, Lisa, you want to know what I think about that? I was furious. I said it wasn't funny in the slightest to make jokes about cheating. And the child not being mine. Lisa then said that she was a bit offended that I believed that specific prank and not several others. She said she couldn't believe I actually thought she'd cheat on me. Then she got teary and asked why I didn't trust her. Lisa, shut the hell up! I asked why I would trust her after she pulled that prank on me, managed to cry telling me about it, and continued with the prank even though I was violently upset. Lisa said it was harmless, and I was blowing things way out of proportion. She continued to ask why I didn't trust her, and I told her I needed some space. I ended up going to a speakeasy. Those still exist, and I've been away from the house ever since, even though Lisa has called several times. I know it was a prank, but I think this joke went way too far, especially with the tears. I also was clearly upset, as anyone would be, and she should have stopped it as soon as she realized I was actually falling for it. Usually Lisa's jokes are funny, but this one got to me for some reason. Well, yeah, Am I the a-hole? And am I overreacting? I feel badly because she's very pregnant with my child, and I don't want to stress her out, but I need space right now. Lisa sounds exhausting to be with. Why do I feel like she was telling the truth and tried to pass it off as a joke when she realized how upset he was? You know, I'd still get a paternity test done just in case. She put that thought in your head. Okay, I cheated on you isn't a prank and is way too far. What the F? Yeah, so I'm just gonna gently close my expensive laptop. What the hell? Even if this was a prank, that is one of the dumbest things you could do to another person because you're putting them in this horrible mental state and then pulling the rug out from under them and being like, I was just kidding. You might want to get a paternity test because that is a weird thing to prank someone over. Something so serious as the child you are carrying. I don't like pranks, especially when clearly one party involved does not seem that into them, and then pranks that go way too far. So from the first second she saw that he believed this, she should have been like, whoa, I'm kidding. Still probably wouldn't have been much better, but at least you wouldn't have let it get that far. The thing is, maybe she was being truthful. It's really hard to know if someone is good at acting and is like pulling off the fake tears and all that, and you're feeling really convinced. I think I do agree with the paternity test comment, because you just don't know the truth. Was she actually telling you the truth and then tried to back out? Or was she pranking you this whole time and thought it was actually hilarious? So this would be a long, exhausting conversation about this kind of behavior and these kind of jokes that just go way too far. I just think that's an incredibly crappy thing to joke about and something that you shouldn't ever. Again, just my take on it, but I think that is truly an insane joke to make. So that is where we're gonna cut it off for the night. How long have we been recording? Nearly an hour now. Lots of crazy stories today. So all the stories I can find credit for will be linked down below in the description and in the comments. I will also link down to the 2 pages we used tonight because they're insanely helpful. And if you're like, hey, you're funny, you're cool, you're sexy, and you want to hang out more, well boy do I have some good news for you. I will link down to my master Reddit stories playlist, as well as my Am I the A-hole only stories playlist, if you just want to hang out with me a little bit more. But thank you all so much for watching. Hopefully you all enjoyed, and hopefully I will see you all here next time.